We're still in 1 month.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Okay,
You
so
don't
good.
have to make here, like certain people need to have. Certain
Here,
people-
Ellie, here's for you.
Certain people think they need to have. That's what I know. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the memory we learned yesterday, was the old night.
Oh, yeah? Oh.
And we didn't finish it Friday. And this morning, yeah, it happened that the Sunday after Shabbos work. Almost never do it on Sunday morning. You know what I mean?
It's not a movie to combine it.
No, maybe it's different one, the Lamed Het, it's from Hay.
Yeah, well, that's.
Yeah, but it's look at Hay, no?
Well, look at that.
I think so. Look, need more than one Hay.
This is.
Or my stuff not working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Okay, let's get started.
What's about Aloch Meruba? I did last night. Lamed Ches. Oh, it was just similar to the Moscow. Oh, Tazai.
What's that?
Let's read it quickly. Classic Sicha and
Make
Chelek.
sure you're muted.
It's is the Oilum can hear me if anyone's on?
Yeah, I hear you.
Looks like we're on.
Thank you.
Okay.
They put up like 8 old
Hmm.
things. Including your
Well,
brother.
it's on.
Including your brother-in-law, who for some reason turned the Zoom on at 8 o'clock. Now I had to ask Gail how to edit out the first 45 minutes of the tape. Which is sort of, it takes more than uploading the whole thing.
Hmm.
Just edit out the dead space, you know what I mean?
Okay, let's get started. It's the classic Sicha about the simonim of the behemoth chayes that are kosher and not kosher. You came just in time, David. Just in time. Perfect timing.
Maybe that's why.
Okay.
That's why.
The Parshas today is a little bit of a repeat of what we had in Parshas Shmini. It tells us what's the kosher and non-kosher animals. Zois behem asher toichelu, shor seh chsavim v'saizim, ayil tzvi v'yachmar v'akta b'dishim v'su v'zemer, v'zomer v'chol behemim of that's Parshas Shesa, Shepirosis. Now she says that the behemoth has to have that not only the feet are split externally, but also internally. Mafreses Parshas v'shishas Shesa Shtepirosis, that really the hoof is split. Not only is be'etzim split, but even the nail is two separate nails. So the Torah says it very clearly. Mafreses Parsa should be split. The Shoisas Shesa Shtepirosis should be very visibly that it's two separate parts. Malagated by behema oisatachelu, and it has to be also malagated that the foot is split in half, and also that it chooses food and re-chooses it a second time. The shasua is something which has it's a double spine, so it's not kosher. It's a gomel v'sarnev v'sashofim malagere shar saloifris etvem v'lachem v'sachaze kimafres parsa hu begere v'loi gere tom v'lachem epsarim lo yisachelem and v'losim tzgo. It's a terech kosher b'moyim fish kosher snapping kaskes techelu. That the fish has another two simonim snapping and kaskes. Kosher ain't snapping kaskes lo yisachelu tom v'lachem. Tzipet toyre techelu doesn't give you a simon for a tzipper. It says that you have to eat a tzipah tahoira. Rashi says, "Boif is paid lochatzmeim." By the birds, he's told you which ones are Tomei. Alamid. That teaches me, The kosher birds are more than the tummy birds. Therefore, he said the smaller number, because the tummy is very small. There's you just a handful, few. Therefore, the Torah mentions them, and that's it. The Rebbe says that in Pshat, that Rashi says what's bothering Rashi is that for every animal there is simon. How come there's no simon for which birds are kosher and which birds are not kosher? The truth is that the Gemara Chulin gives you a list of 4 simonim. A bird that that preys on other animals is not kosher. There's another 3 simonim that the Gemara gives in Chulin. So how come the Torah gives you simonim for the behemoth, for the chaya, for the oifos, for the chagobim? How come the Torah doesn't give you a simon what makes the birds kosher? Chazal said there is simon. So the answer is that the truth is that most, besides the eagle, Gemara says on Chulin, besides the eagle, the non-kosher ones also have at least one of the 4 simonim. So really, what makes a bird kosher and not kosher is not the simon. It's Gzeres HaKosher. That's what the Eibishter said. So since the simonim are not making kosher or not kosher, it's Gzeres HaKosher. So why give you a list of 500 birds? Might as well give you a list of 24 that are not kosher, and that's it. And that's what Rashi is saying. Okay. Now let's talk a little Chassidus. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful classic Sicha. It's in Chelek Beis and Likkutei. When you learn in yeshiva, they always teach us to examine. This is going back to Rogachover has a big thesis on this. L'moshel, the Rogachover asks, when the simonim of a kosher animal, it makes it kosher, or it tells you it's kosher.
What makes it kosher? Simonim or
Otazai. Is it the Eibishter made it kosher? The simonim are there to let you know that it's kosher. You might not know, so the simonim are telling you it's kosher. Or is it the simonim make it kosher? The other day I told the story with the Tzemach Tzedek where he made a joke. He said there was once this guy and it wasn't raining. So he said, what's the big deal? Take all the cats and put them in the house under the oven. It started to rain. He said he noticed that when all the cats go into the houses and they hide under the ovens, it starts to rain. So if you take all the cats, you put them on the oven, it'll start to rain.
Huh?
Yeah.
On the oven?
Yeah, under the oven. They used to be olden days. So exactly, that's chelm. Why? Because the question is, what's the cause and what's the effect? It's not that the cat going under the oven makes it rain. Because it's about to rain, the cats feel it and they go into the house. They want to go. Right. Yeah. So therefore they go in.
The babies bring sparks, not sparks.
Exactly.
The houses be close, more people. Houses be close together, more sparks.
Exactly.
The sparks from baby died.
There was we listened to a story about, like, in the olden days there was this trumpet that this kid would play, or that these town folk would play if there's a fire, and it would tell them that there's a fire. So one kid was visiting this town and he saw that they were using they blow the trumpet and the fire gets put out. So he took the trumpet and he said, I'm going to use this trumpet and this fire is going to go out in his own town. He didn't chop and the whole place started to get on fire. And then someone told him that. So it's not that
Very good.
the sign.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very good analogy. Exactly. Same thing here. The shaila is the 2 simonim of the kosher cow makes him kosher or tells us that it's kosher. The several nafkaminas l'halacha. Here in this sikha, the Rebbe is not focusing so much on the halacha, but in what we could take away in our life from it. Definitely, when the Torah says that these are 2 simonim that tells us it's kosher, that there has to be a connection. It's hard to say that it was just, There's no connection. Just, they should decided to do something good for us and to make the kosher animal have split hooves and that you chew its cud. And that's how we will know that it's a kosher animal. There has to be a real deep connection and a lesson that we could take from this and avodas Hashem. The purpose of eating and everything we do in the world is to elevate it. The reason we eat meat from the cow is to elevate the cow. And the person has to be elevating himself. And when he elevates himself, that elevates everything. But when we try to elevate ourselves, we have to examine, are we really elevating ourselves? There's two simonim that are telling us that we're really going up or we're not going up. Are we going up or going down? There's two simonim. What are the two simonim? There's a story in the Gemara, and it's an unbelievable shtickle in the Torah Oyer. And we spoke about it, actually, about a year ago, we spoke about this. It's a Gemara in Avodah Zorah, and it's a beautiful, beautiful piece in Torah Oyer and Daf Yudches. And the Gemara is Daf Yudches. The Gemara tells a story. Shechola Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma holach Rabbi Chanina ben Tagya levakr. Chanina ben Tagya came to visit him b'kacholim. Amalei Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma said to him, Chanina ochi yati yodei shom azomin hashmayim l'chua shechriv es Beis v'sof es echol v'ogez chasidav v'ovdes tubav v'adayin hikayem bani shamata halacha sha'ata yoshev v'osek b'toyra makal kilos barabim v'sefer and toyra menach loch b'chakecho. You define the Romans. The Romans said not to teach Torah in public. And you are teaching Torah in public. Omar Loi said, ben Tradin said, don't worry, they'll have Rahmanas from heaven. So Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma answered, he said, he says, I wouldn't be surprised. It said that Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, the older sage, to Rabbi Chanani ben Tradin, the younger sage, if they won't burn you with the Sefer Torah. Amar Loi, Rabbi Chanani ben Tradin said, Rebbe, ma'ani l'chayer l'mabah. Do I have a person in the world to come? Amar Loi klum b'maisa liotcha. Was anything special you ever did? Amar Loi mo'ez shaporim neschalfuli b'mo'ez shal tzedakah v'chilaktam laniyim. The once it was on Purim, and I had two pouches, one my own money and one the money for tzedakah, and accidentally I gave away my own money to the poor people. So money is money. You should have said, okay, the other pouch I'll keep for myself. Since he already designated that for tzedakah, he gave all his money away for tzedakah. Oh, so he said, and Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma said to the Chanan Tradian, I wish I have a goiter like you and a chelek like you in Elam Haba. Come join us there.
We don't buy.
Amru. So again, what's happening over here? The older sage, Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, is telling a younger sage, Rabbi Chanani ben Tradin, you're playing with fire. You're teaching Torah in public, and the Romans are going to kill you. Not only are they going to kill you, but they're going to burn you alive with a Sefer Torah. So take it easy. But the younger sage, Rabbi Chanani ben Tradin, is like trying to change the conversation here. So he says, Rebbe, am I going to have a portion in Elam Haba? So he says, tell me, did you ever do something special? He said, yeah, once on Purim, I gave all my money away for charity. Oh, you gave all your money away? You're going to have the best place in Gan Eden. I wish I have a portion like you. There were but a few days at Shenifta, Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, the older sage, Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, passed away. It's fascinating that the Romans did respect the sages. So they all went to his funeral. And when they came back from the funeral, they saw that Rabbi Chanani ben Tradian was teaching Torah in public.
Oof.
So they took him and they wrapped the Sefer Torah around him
And
they burnt him alive. The Gemara says not only did they burn him alive, but they put a heavy swath of material full of water on his heart, so he shouldn't die quickly. That he should have the
No.
pain of death. And the Gemara tells a whole story about what happened afterwards. Anyway, now Tereva says, I don't understand what's the pshat in the story. The guy is dying al Kiddush Hashem. He's putting his life in danger to teach Torah to the younger generation. If you won't teach them Torah, they won't know Torah. And he, in fact, he paid with his life for this. They not only killed him, but they burnt him alive. It's a very painful death. So he asked the Beis of Kisma, do I have a portion in Olam Haba? So what does the Beis of Kisma say? I don't know. Tell me, you did something good? He said, yeah, once some Purim, I gave all my money away. Oh, you gave all your money away? So for the fact that he's dying, Al Kiddush Hashem, no Olam Haba. The fact that he's teaching Torah to younger generation, no, that's nothing. That's all not counted. Because once he gave all his money away on Purim for tzedakah, it doesn't make sense. How can you say? Well, I understand, but this guy is dying al Kiddush Hashem. For that, he's not having a portion in Olam Haba.
He made the world stand.
Good, but and teaching a younger generation Torah,
It also
the price of his own life, and he died for our kid. He died. He's in when we daven on Yom Kippur. We talk about the 10 famous sages that were killed by the Romans. The Romans killed. They wanted to. The truth is, historians say that it's not so simple. It's not like necessarily they killed them like one after the other in a line, but over time they killed 10 of the sages, and that was like supposed to be to break the back of the Jewish people. So they really the starting from Adrian, they hated the Jews. They really hated the Jews. They were very scared. It seems that there was a lot of Gedolei Romi that were very influenced by the Jews, and they were very scared of that. The whole hatred and phobia of Jews starts very strongly with the Romans. The Romans later became the Christians, so it all rolled into one thing. But the question is, what is it? What's the question? He's asking, does he have a share in Olam Haba? And what's the question? What's the answer? The Alter Rebbe says in Likkutei Torah, unbelievable thing. The Alter Rebbe says that if you look in the history of this world, there are people that died for their ideals. The people that died, right? Lots of people died, right? Lots of people died for their ideals. I was just did a travel around the United States. Spent a day in Gettysburg. 51,000 people died in 2 hours in the battlefields in Gettysburg.
Oh.
51,000 people. It was a long time ago. But
It's devastating.
yeah, it's unbelievable that the battlefields are so preserved that everything is still standing there from 1963, the way it was then. It's unbelievable.
1860.
From 1863, yeah, from 1863. Everything is still standing there. It's unbelievable.
But they just didn't touch the ground?
No, nothing.
Just
So there are people that died for their ideals, but the Alter Rebbe says the difference is like this: that sometimes a person is so connected to certain ideals, it's like give me liberty or give me death. Life is not worth living without liberty. So that's his teva. That's his thing. That's his teva. That's who he is. If you don't give me liberty, life is not worth living. But that's not called Mesidus Nefesh. is not worth living. Life without liberty, life is not worth living. It's true. It's right. It's an ideologue. So therefore, that's not called Mesiris Nefesh. He's wondering, am I my teaching Torah to the younger generation? Is it for God's name's sake? Is it pure, or is it that life is not worth living if the Jewish people are not going to be an Am Chochem V'Novim, are not going to be a nation of students of Torah? Why life is not worth living? So therefore, he's also going to go to he's also going on the battlefield in Gettysburg. So he couldn't judge on himself. Is his teaching Torah with Mesiris Nefesh, is it for God's sake, or is it that this is his own agenda? So Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma said, "Klum b'maisa liyotcha." Tell me about a maisa. What does it mean, a maisa? The Rambam writes that there's two prototypes of people: Mora Shchoida and Mora Lavoina. Even to say it today, when you say a person is a little melancholy, or it says a Mora Shchoida, the black bile. So never mind scientifically today, but the Rambam had this in his mind, that there's a black bile and a white bile, and based on the chemical balance between the black and the white bile is what makes the person. The person that's propensity towards being sad and being depressed is very strong in the black bile, and this guy could be highly intellectual. And then you have the guy who's jumpy bumpy, very happy, and he's flying from Allah Zayton. And he's but this guy cannot focus for more than 3 minutes. His attention span is like this big, and he's got ants in his pants, or termites in his pants. Again, he can't sitzen name plots. So these are the two extremes, and then people in between. There are people that are unbelievable risk takers. Usually, they're not the biggest intellectual people in the world. The größte Kopfmenschen are not gamblers. That's just the way it is. Like there was a guy in my shul who was a professor of economics in Baruch College for 50 years. His uncle was at Avram Kalmanovitz at the Mir Yeshiva. So when I met, when we had Dalkonan, I met, they had a bris. I said, "Oh yeah, regards from your cousin in the Bronx." But this guy Eli Kalman, Kalmanovich, and they always, he'd say, "Oh, this guy, this economist, he was my student. This guy's my student." Meantime, this guy would walk into shul with holes in his sweater and holes in his pants. This guy couldn't. His old age was this kid's forced him to buy a car. The guy had money, but he couldn't get himself to buy himself a brand new car. How do you buy a brand new car? You buy an Alta Trante. But because that's the way, that was his teva. He was highly intellectual. He was a very smart person, a very nice person. It was his brain. But he was not a risk taker. He was, he would hoard his money and put it away. People, especially people that lived through the Depression, and saw family members who had unbelievable wealth and get wiped out in a day. Yeah. So this guy was like a Mora Shchoida. So this is the question that Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma asked Hanani ben Teradia. You're telling me that you're scared that maybe you're an unbelievable intellect, and therefore your devotion to teach Torah to the young generation might not be pure. Maybe it's like, give me liberty or give me death. So for that, he said, let me tell you something. Tell me some maisa that you did that might be frivolous. You gave all your money away. You know what? Those deep intellectual people who have a very strong propensity to have black bile, they never give all their money away in one day. They don't do that. They never do such a thing. He said, yeah, that can happen once. I said, I had 2 pouches of money, and I gave my own money to the poor, and then I decided to give the other pouch of money also to the poor. He said, if you were able in one day to give all your money away, a person that's really the prototype of the black vial, Morish Choyre can't do such a thing. Is the Charaya that you are serving Hashem l'shem Shemayim. Just like you gave your charity for God's sake, you're teaching Torah and putting your life on the line for Hashem's sake. It's not anything selfish, not any personal agenda involved. It's only for Hashem. Had it been that it was your personal agenda, it wouldn't be possible for you to spend all your money in one day, blow it all at tzedakah. Therefore, your Chelek in Olam Haba is not because that one day that tzedakah you give, because of the Mesiras Nefesh she has. But that is a proof that your Mesiras Nefesh is pure. The Rebbe says that that's why a kosher animal, and hence a kosher, are we kosher, our avodas Hashem is kosher, is that our avodah is split. Our avodah is split. What does it mean split? Like I say, just say about Avraham Avinu. So we say that Avraham Avinu, the last of the 10 Nisyonos, the Eibusha said, now I know that you love me. Why? Because the other Nisyonos were something which was not against the nature of Avraham Avinu. He was going to kill himself for God's sake. But now to go kill Avram, who's Isha Chesed, to go kill his own son, that's unheard of. So because the 10th Nisayon goes against his Teva, Legamri, totally against his Teva, now I know that you fear God. Because the 10th Nisayon was something which was spectacular. It was different than the other Nisayonos. It was something which is totally 100% against the nature of Avram Avinu, who is Isha Chesed to go kill his own son. Same thing here. How do we know that our avodah, that what we're doing in life, where we're going in life, is kosher? We always think that what we're doing in life is kosher, but how do we know it's really kosher? So here is the test, the litmus test of to know if we are doing our avodah kosher is mafresas parsa, and not stam mafresas parsa like the pasuk says that it has to be completely split from top to bottom, inside and outside. Rashi says from the inside, from the outside, it has to be split. That we're willing to do this avodah and that avodah. This avodah and that avodah. Sometimes when it's needed to go extreme to the right, we go to the right. When we need to go extremely to the left, we go extremely to the left. And we never say, oh, listen, this is my thing. My thing is complete left. Right, I can't go right. Or I can't go left. We never say that. We're willing to go right, and when needed to go left, we're going to go left. Whatever the Eibishter wants. Now that's a kosher. That's kosher avodas Hashem. How do we know it's kosher? If we're willing to go this way, and in a dime we're going to go jump over to that way. What happened? Aren't you a Republican? I don't care, Republican. I'm Jewish. I do what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. I don't care. I do what I need to do in my avodas Hashem. That is ati yadati kirei lekimata. So how do we know we're kosher? When there is sheshas shesa shtei peroses, that it's split. We could do the avodah on the right and then turn around and do the avodah on the left. Turn around, do again the avodah on the right. It's easy sometimes to go into one, like, to be, I'm a businessman, I'm not a scholar, I'm a businessman. Or it's easy, I'm a scholar, I don't have to do with the outside world. But then to jump from one to the other and back and forth, because that's the Rotzen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then there's a second thing that makes a thing kosher. Sometimes we think it's kosher. You always have to malagate it. Ibakain. You have to chew it over again. We think it's kosher. We have a plan. We think this is kosher. This is the kosher way. Think it over a second time. Is it really kosher? Or we feel, because easily we can fool ourselves. Very easy, we convince ourselves it's kosher. It's not kosher. We're not talking about food now. We're talking about everything in life. So we have to re-chew it, rethink it. So these are the two simonim that make our avodas Hashem kosher. Number one is mafrisas parsa, that it's split. We can go from total this to total left, from total right to total left and back. We're comfortable. We don't say, "Oh, this is my thing. I do this. This is that's a one pony show and Gandhi." Whatever the Eibishter wants. If it has to be on the right, that's I'm gonna be there. It's to be on the left, I'm gonna be there. Whatever the Eibishter wants from me. And the second thing is that I re-chew it, I rethink it, I reevaluate it, I relook at it, and that's what makes my avodas Hashem kosher avodas Hashem. Chaim.
By fish.
Okay, Nuna, that's
Fins and
separate.
scales.
That's already a different avodah. That's higher neshamas already. Yeah, they said Parshas Shmini the Alter Rebbe has.
Discuss.
Right, this is special.
But he also,
That's their avodah is schon an ganz andere Sach. So they have to have a different avodah, which is kaskasim, snapper, kaskasis. But for the most of us, we need to have maligerev shasa shesa.
I think I said this last year. There's a gala in Texas, very big gala. When he speaks on Sunday, there's more than 1 million followers. And they follow him so much that every time he asks, I need $5 from each one of you for that. He drive a private jet. He lives the king. Everybody give him. Really, really rich. So he said, I study about the kosher food and I went to Israel. I want to really to check if it's true or not true, why it is. And he said to them that that they eat only certain fish. It's money with this. And he says, this fish that they eat, they swim in the ocean at the top. What happened when they finish eating? They have to make. So the tzrochen that the fish make go down. Who eat it? The shrimp. Shrimp live very, very down deep in the ocean.
oh,
So we eat the garbage of the garbage. But the Jewish people eat the kosher fish, what's it on top. He said, it took me a long time to understand it, but that's the bottom line.
did the pastor say that?
The pastor said it.
Chicken dogs are clean. That's
Gala.
part of the problem. The
Yeah.
chicken dogs are clean.
Yeah.
Also, when you eat a shark, let's say, right? So the shark is the title to bite to this. So the goy that eat a shark, get in his body this type of retzicha, domi, with all these things.
Yeah.
And the Jewish people eat the food that very edel. Everything is edel than this. Between the fish and this, everything is edel. So we became, the body look like different. The body look edel because we digest differently, we eat differently. That's why when we think differently, we talk differently.
Giraffes are in.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
stuff that it's kosher, but we have a sofer
Yeah,
and we don't eat it. It's also just because.
that there.
Once there's a kibbutznik that wrote a letter to the Rebbe that we came up with mezuzah and we eat only vegetables and we don't eat this. The Rebbe answered to them, when a new kibbutz, when cow die, what do? We take a tractor and put it in the garbage, right? We take the skin of the cow and make it spinning from it and put it on our head. What could be more covered than this? Only the opposite, the way he thinking. It changes all the halach machshava.
Very nice.
And again, you're allowed to do only with kosher skin from a cow and this. You can't
Right.
write a non-kosher.
Right.
Even if it's a Megillah, and it's not the rice, also we have a different one.
Chaim, we're going into Chodesh Elul, special month. The Rebbe would bring from the yeshiva Beis scale in Yerushalayim, yeshiva that started by the Rashash many years ago. That they had a minig to start getting ready for Rosh Hashanah from Chof Av. Because Chazal say that 40 days before the child
Born.
Mitziris Avalad, that Baskel discusses about how the baby's going to be. It'll be this, that, the other. So already Malamayla, this Indian that's getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. Arboim Yom Kodim Mitziris Avalad. Rosh Hashanah is when there's a rebirth. So they used to start giving a bracha to each other. From Chof Av.
Some said,
Oh, so Reb Shalom. Every one of us, Shavik Sivach Simatoiva, everything that we need. Bonachayim, Mazana Revicha, Paul Yisrael, Shav Shana Tova Musuka.
Amen. I also want to find out what's the difference. I said it also in the show. A kebab, a mouse, when you find food, you eat it, truly can even go out in the same hole that they came in. So you have to press again in order to go out in the hole. But it doesn't stop. It goes always friend and say, come, make damage to the owner. He let his friend also eat. And we have a book by name Hasidah. They do the same thing. When you find food, you call the friend and eat the food. So it's the question is why this guy called Akbar and this book called Hasidah. And even Hasidah is not kosher. He eats and call his friend, and she eats and call his friend. The point is that Akbar, when he find food, forced to eat, make sure that he has a lot of food. Once he can't eat anymore, he's so big, he go call his friends to come make a damage to the owner. Hasidah, when she find food, she call the friend. And then she doesn't start eat by herself. So you say, if so, why she's not kosher? Because she eat only with her friend. When you eat only with your friend, then it's not kosher. You have to eat with everybody. I said it last thing.
That's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful, beautiful word.
Who? The Hasidah, what? She eat only with her friend.
Other people.
No, other. If you
Oh, it's a
chesed in Chavritel. Only friends. You only told your buddy. If you're not a buddy, she doesn't invite you. Only invites her friends. That's not kosher. They say it's not kosher.
Yeah, we have exactly 10. It's not 9:30. 9:30 yet? We really should.